Welcome to the realm where tales weave the fabric of our lives. From the tender whispers of bedtime stories that cradle our childhood dreams, to the grand epics that echo through the ages, stories are the heartbeat of our existence. They are the invisible threads that connect us, the whispers of love and courage that ignite our spirits. Here, every story is a journey, a dance of words that promises to touch your soul and awaken the dreamer within. So settle in, dear listener, for a tale that will transport you to worlds unseen, to adventures untold. This is where magic begins. This is where you belong, the dragon's heir. Prologue: Whispers of fire and fate in the quiet before dawn. When the mist clings to the cobblestones of Harrogate like a shroud, whispers travel on the wind. They speak of a time when dragons soared through the skies, their shadows casting both terror and wonder upon the lands below. But what if the fiercest dragon was not the monster it seemed? What if the true beast lay in the hearts of men, cloaked in valor's guise? What does it mean to be a hero? Is it the clashing of swords, the spilling of blood, the glory of victory? Or could it be something more, a touch, a word, a single act of kindness when the world expects none? Who is the young healer who walks the silent streets, his thoughts as tumultuous as the sea? What secrets do his potions hold? And what power lies in his gentle hands? Can the softest whisper calm the raging storm? Can a single life change the course of history? And what of the knight, whose armor gleams like the first light of morning? Whose oath binds him to a path of destruction? Will he listen to the whispers? Or will the roar of his own legacy drown them out in Harrogate? Where the dragon's cry echoes and the healer's heart beats, the answers await. For in this tale of fire and fate, the lines between myth and truth blur, and the story that unfolds may just challenge everything you thought you knew about dragons. Knights and heroes, are you ready to listen to the whispers? Are you prepared to learn what is truly better than slaying a dragon? In the medieval town of Harrogate, whispers of fear and awe intertwined as the shadow of a great dragon loomed over the cobblestone streets. A lion, the town's healer, stood in the town square, his gaze fixed on the distant mountains where the dragon resided. The townspeople gathered around, their eyes filled with a mixture of respect and desperation, seeking guidance from the one they trusted to mend their wounds and soothe their ailments. A lion's reputation as a healer was unmatched, and his wisdom was often sought in times of crisis. Yet, as the threat of the dragon grew ever more pressing, the townsfolk looked to him not for salves or potions, but for a solution to the terror that threatened their very existence. The knights, clad in armor that glinted in the sun's waning light, approached a lion with determined strides. Their leader, a man of imposing stature and stern countenance, addressed the healer with a voice that resonated through the square. Must we spill blood to claim peace? Perhaps there's another way. A lion pondered aloud, his words carrying the weight of his internal conflict. The townspeople murmured among themselves, some nodding in agreement, while others shook their heads in doubt. It's our duty to protect, even if it means war, the knight retorted, his hand resting on the hilt of his sword, as if ready to draw it at a moment's notice. A lion understood the knight's resolve, yet he could not shake the feeling that violence would only beget more violence. The dragon, a creature of legend and power, had long been a part of Harrogate's history. Some said it was a guardian, others a destroyer. But a lion knew that there was more to the beast than the tales that were told. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the town, a lion made his way to his apothecary. The wooden sign above the door creaked as he entered, the familiar scent of herbs and dried flowers greeting him. The apothecary was his sanctuary, a place where he could think and work in peace that night. As a lion pored over his books and scrolls, searching for any mention of the dragon and its kind, he came across an ancient text. It spoke of a time when dragons and humans lived in harmony, and a pact that was made between them. The words ignited a spark of hope within a lion's heart, and he knew that he must find a way to restore that lost peace. The following day, a lion returned to the town square, where the knights were rallying the townspeople for a potential battle. He raised his voice, calling for their attention. "Listen to me, my friends. I have found a tale of old, one that speaks of a bond between dragon and man. We must not be hasty in our actions, for there may be another path we can take." A lion declared, his eyes scanning the crowd for any sign of understanding. The townspeople listened, their expressions a mix of skepticism and curiosity. The knight who had spoken the day before stepped forward, his stance less confrontational than before. "And what would you have us do?" "Healer, stand by and wait for the dragon to burn our homes and take our lives?" the knight asked, his voice tinged with a hint of respect for a lion's courage to speak up. A lion met the knight's gaze, his resolve unwavering. "No, I would have us seek understanding. Let us not be the bringers of war, but the harbingers of peace. I will go to the dragon and learn its intentions. If there is a way to avoid bloodshed, I will find it." The crowd erupted into a cacophony of voices, some shouting in support, others in protest, but a lion's decision was made. He would venture into the shadow of the dragon, armed not with a sword, but with the hope of healing the rift between their worlds. And so, the stage was set for a tale unlike any Harrogate had known a tale, where the healer's wisdom would be tested against the dragon's might, and the fate of the town would hang in the balance. Sir Cedric, a knight of renowned valor, rode into Harrogate as the first light of dawn crested the hills. His armor, etched with the scars of many battles, gleamed with a promise of protection. The townspeople, weary from the constant threat of the dragon, gathered in the town square, their eyes alight with a mixture of hope and fear at the sight of the new arrival. "I swore an oath to slay the beast," Sir Cedric proclaimed, his voice echoing off the stone walls of the surrounding buildings. His declaration was met with a chorus of cheers from the crowd, their relief palpable, yet amidst the clamor. A lion watched from the doorway of his apothecary, his brow furrowed with concern. A lion approached the knight, his steps measured and his expression solemn. "And I, to save lives, sometimes." "They're one and the same," he replied, meeting Sir Cedric's gaze with a steady one of his own. The healer's words hung in the air, a gentle challenge to the knight's conviction. Sir Cedric, taken aback by the healer's perspective, followed a lion into the apothecary. The shelves were lined with jars of herbs and potions, the air rich with the scent of healing. A lion moved with practiced ease, his hands sorting through the remedies as he spoke. "Tell me, Sir Knight, have you ever faced a dragon before?" a lion asked, his tone laced with genuine curiosity. Sir Cedric shook his head, his hand instinctively resting on the pommel of his sword. "No, but I have faced creatures of darkness and emerged victorious. This dragon will be no different," he asserted, his confidence unwavering. A lion paused, his hand stilling among the vials. "But what if it is different? What if this dragon is not the monster we have been led to believe?" he questioned, his eyes searching the knight's face for a hint of openness. The knight regarded a lion with a newfound respect, sensing the depth of the healer's wisdom. "You speak of possibilities I have not considered," Sir Cedric admitted, his stance softening. A lion nodded, a small smile gracing his lips. "Come, let us prepare. If you are to face the dragon, you will need more than just a sword. You will need knowledge and perhaps a touch of compassion," he said, turning back to his work. "Together, The healer and the knight delved into ancient texts and debated strategies, their conversation stretching long into the afternoon. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the town, Sir Cedric emerged from the apothecary with a new understanding, one that went beyond the blade and shield. The townspeople watched as the knight and the healer stood side by side in the fading light, their alliance an unexpected turn in the tale of Harrogate. And as the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, a sense of anticipation filled the air, for the story of the dragon's shadow was far from over. The sun had barely risen, but Harrogate was already astir. The dragon, a looming specter in the lives of the townspeople, had once again unleashed its fiery wrath upon the outskirts of the town. Homes were ablaze, and the air was thick with smoke and the cries of the afflicted. A lion, with his healer's kit slung over his shoulder, rushed towards the chaos. His heart pounded not only with the urgency of the moment, but also with a deep-seated resolve to aid those in harm's way. Sir Cedric, clad in his burnished armor, was at his side, his sword drawn, ready to defend as they navigated through the narrow lanes. A piercing scream cut through the cacophony. A child, no more than 10 summers old, lay trapped beneath a fallen beam, his leg crushed and seared by the dragon's breath. His mother, frantic and sobbing, clutched at a lion's tunic. "Please, save my boy," she pleaded. A lion knelt beside the child, his hands glowing with a soft light as he channeled his healing energies. "Hold on, little one. Your story doesn't end here," he murmured, his voice a calm amidst the storm of fear and pain. Sir Cedric, meanwhile, stood guard, his eyes scanning the skies for any sign of the dragon's return. The child's cries ebbed as a lion's magic took effect, the pain receding, the burns healing before their very eyes. The townspeople gathered around, witnessing the miracle of life snatched from the jaws of death. The mother, tears of gratitude streaming down her face, embraced her son. Now free from the beam and the agony, she looked up at a lion, her eyes conveying a wordless thank you that resonated with all who stood by. As the immediate danger passed, murmurs of admiration spread through the crowd. "The healer has done what no weapon could," they whispered, their previous doubts about a lion's methods replaced by awe and respect. Sir Cedric sheathed his sword, his gaze lingering on a lion with a newfound reverence. "Your courage is different from mine, yet no less valiant," he said, the clasp of his gauntleted hand on a lion's shoulder firm and respectful. The dragon, perhaps sensing the unity and strength of the town, did not return that day, and as the sun set, painting the sky with hues of orange and purple, Harrogate breathed a collective sigh of relief. The healer had not only mended wounds, but had also begun to heal the rift between fear and understanding. The day's events would be etched in the town's memory, a testament to the power of compassion over conflict and for a lion. It was a step closer to a world where the bond between healer and warrior was recognized as the truest form of bravery. The morning mist clung to the mountainside as a lion, and Sir Cedric made their way to the dragon's lair. The journey was treacherous, the path known only to a few brave souls who dared to venture close to the beast's domain. As they ascended, the evidence of the dragon's presence was everywhere: scorched earth, charred trees, and the remnants of failed expeditions. A lion's thoughts were a whirlwind of apprehension and determination. He had seen the dragon's ferocity, but also glimpsed a tenderness in the creature's eyes during the last attack. It was a look that spoke not of malice, but of a desperate, protective instinct. Sir Cedric, ever the warrior, remained focused on the task at hand, yet he too harbored doubts about their mission as they reached the lair. A low growl echoed through the cavernous expanse, There, coiled around a clutch of eggs, lay the dragon, her scales shimmering like molten gold in the dim light beside her. A dragonling, injured and whimpering, struggled to rise. It was a sight that would strike fear into the heart of any man, but for a lion. It was a plea for help. This creature acts not out of malice, but a mother's love, a lion whispered, his voice steady despite the pounding of his heart. Sir Cedric lowered his sword, his oath to slay the beast now a distant echo. Then our fight is not with her, but with ignorance, he replied. His voice tinged with a lion approached the dragonling, his hands radiating a soft, healing glow. The mother dragon watched, her fiery eyes now softened, allowing him to tend to her offspring. As a lion's magic soothed the dragonling's wounds, a bond formed between man and beast. A silent understanding that transcended the language of words, the dragonling, now healed, nuzzled its mother, who in turn nudged a lion with her snout, a gesture of gratitude that needed no translation. Sir Cedric watched in silence, his beliefs about honor and duty forever changed by the healer's compassion. As they left the lair, the dragon's roar resounded not as a threat, but as a farewell to the unlikely allies. A lion and Sir Cedric descended the mountain, their hearts lighter, knowing they had averted a battle not with steel, but with empathy. The tale of their encounter spread quickly upon their return to Harrogate. The townspeople, once fearful, now looked to the skies with hope instead of dread. The healer and the knight had shown them that even the fiercest heart could be reached through understanding. And so the stage was set for a new chapter in the history of Harrogate, one where the shadow of the dragon was no longer a portent of doom, but a symbol of the enduring power of peace. The sun had barely risen, but Harrogate was already astir with the clamor of armor and the sharp ring of steel. Knights gathered in the hidden grove near the dragon's lair, their faces set in grim determination. Among them, Sir Cedric stood resolute, his hand resting on the hilt of his sword, ready to lead the charge. Yet, his heart was heavy, for the memory of the previous day's revelation weighed on him. A lion moved through the ranks, his healer's robes a stark contrast to the sea of metal. His eyes, usually warm and inviting, held a steely resolve. He had convinced Sir Cedric of the dragon's innocence, but convincing the rest of the knights would be a far greater challenge. "Prepare for battle," a knight shouted, breaking the tense silence. A lion stepped forward, his voice carrying over the din. "No blood shall be shed today, for understanding has dawned," he declared, his gaze sweeping over the assembled warriors. Murmurs rippled through the crowd as a lion recounted the tale of the dragonling's healing and the mother dragon's gratitude. He spoke of the bond formed in the lair, of empathy and compassion, and of a peace that could be achieved without the sword. Sir Cedric stepped beside a lion, lending his voice to the plea. "We have been warriors of war," he said, "but today we can be warriors of peace." The knights exchanged uncertain glances, their lifelong training clashing with the truth before them. The dragon, once the embodiment of their fears, was now a symbol of a misunderstood protector. As the sun climbed higher, the grove became a place of quiet reflection. Swords were sheathed, and shields lowered as the knights grappled with their consciences. The battle they had prepared for would not come to pass, not by the might of their arms, but by the strength of their newfound understanding. A lion and Sir Cedric led the knights back to Harrogate, where the townspeople awaited, their faces etched with worry. But as the tale of the battle unfought spread, worry gave way to wonder, and wonder to joy. The dragon's roar, once a harbinger of destruction, now heralded a new era. The people of Harrogate gathered, their cheers echoing through the valley as they celebrated the courage of the healer and the knight who had rewritten their fate. In the days that followed, the dragon and her brood soared above Harrogate, no longer feared but revered. The healer's triumph was not one of conquest, but of unity. And it was this triumph that would echo through the ages, a testament to the power of peace over war. The dawn of a new day in Harrogate brought with it a sense of tranquility that had been absent for generations. The townspeople gathered in the central square, their faces alight with joy and disbelief. The air was filled with the scent of fresh blooms and the melodious harmony of lutes and flutes. Children laughed and danced, weaving between the stalls as vendors set up their wares for a celebration unlike any other. At the heart of it all stood a lion, the healer whose wisdom and compassion had bridged the chasm between dragon and human. Beside him, Sir Cedric, once a knight sworn to battle, now stood as a testament to the power of change. Together, they watched the dragons soar above, their majestic forms casting gentle shadows over the jubilant crowd. "Look at them," a townsperson exclaimed, pointing skyward. "The healer has shown us true bravery," a lion smiled, his eyes following the graceful flight of the dragons. "Together, we've written a tale of peace. May it echo through ages," he replied, his voice carrying the weight of their shared journey. Sir Cedric nodded in agreement, his gaze lingering on a young dragonling that playfully nipped at its mother's tail. "It is a tale of understanding, of seeing beyond our fears to the heart of what truly matters." The festivities continued as the sun climbed higher, its warm rays embracing the town. Food and drink flowed freely, and tales of the healer's triumph were shared at every corner. The knights, once the harbingers of war, now mingled with the townspeople, their armor shed in favor of simple tunics and broad smiles. As the day waned, a lion took to the makeshift stage, the crowd falling silent in anticipation. "My friends," he began, his voice steady and clear, "we have faced the shadow of fear and emerged into the light of understanding. Let this day mark not just the end of conflict, but the beginning of a new chapter in our history." The dragons descended, landing gently among the people, their presence no longer a cause for alarm, but a reason for wonder. Children approached with tentative steps, their hands outstretched in friendship. The dragons, in turn, bowed their heads, accepting the gesture with a gentleness that belied their formidable size. As night fell, lanterns were lit, casting a warm glow over the town. The celebration continued, a vibrant tapestry of laughter, music, and shared stories. And when the stars appeared, twinkling like distant candles, the people of Harrogate knew that the harmony they had found would endure. For in the heart of Harrogate, a healer had triumphed, not with potions or spells, but with the simple, profound act of understanding. And in that triumph lay the promise of a future where dragon and human could coexist in peace, their destinies forever intertwined. Epilogue: the legacy of Harrogate. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the land, the people of Harrogate gathered one last time at the town square. The air was filled with the scent of blooming night flowers and the soft murmur of voices sharing tales of the day when the dragon and the knight met in a fateful duel. A lion, the healer who had become a legend, stood beside Sir Cedric, who had laid down his sword to take up the healer's mantle. Together, they watched as children played, imitating not the battles of old, but the acts of healing and understanding that had brought peace to their home. "Did we do right, a lion?" Sir Cedric asked, his voice barely above a whisper. A lion smiled, his eyes reflecting the last light of day. "We did what our hearts knew to be true, and look at the harmony it has brought." In the distance, the dragon soared one final time across the sky, a silent guardian whose legacy was no longer fear, but a bond forged with the very souls it had once been thought to threaten. And so, the story of Harrogate was passed down through generations, not as a tale of a knight's victory over a dragon, but as a testament to the courage it takes to challenge the stories we think we know, to find the truth that lies in the hearts of all creatures, and to heal the wounds of the world with compassion and understanding. For in the end, the people remembered not the clashing of swords, but the gentle hands that had mended what was broken, and the whispered words that had changed everything. Sometimes the mightiest act of a knight is to lay down his sword, and perhaps the greatest victory of all is the war never waged,